Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wyld. Today we are talking about Para is canceled. So I recently got an email from one of my subscribers, Josh Norberg. Thank you so much for emailing me about this and making this video possible. I don't normally have the kind of turnaround that can immediately respond to every email, especially for all of the emails and articles that I've still yet to make a video for. But this is big news for a lot of gig workers, especially if you were a big fan of Para. So with that said, we are talking about who and what Para is historically, everything said in the email sent to me, both of them, and everything in between. So with that said, let's get started. Sad day for gig transparency. Hey, feel free to share about the demise of the best gig app to help us gig workers stay safe and earn more. I'll forward the reply from Para. Well, don't mind if I do, Josh. But first, let's talk about where they started. Some people only know Para from their early days and kind of hopped out when they ended. And let me explain what that means. Once upon a time, Doordash was really bad with their hidden tip system. Oh wait, that's currently. But Para came in at some point and created a system for literal tip transparency for gig workers who use Doordash. So how it would work is, as you log into the Dasher app on Doordash, you would also use that login for Para. Then, when you received an order from Doordash, Para would also send another push notification as you're receiving that order, telling you the full payout of that order. This completely changed the game in terms of how much we were making as gig workers and dashers. In fact, a lot of people were really changing their standards for what they were accepting on the platforms. Then, of course, Doordash didn't like that, because why tell dashers the truth when you can hide the tips and kind of trick people into taking lesser orders? Para did what they believed was the mature thing and offered out an olive branch in hopes of collaborating with them to create a system that would inevitably be better for gig workers and the platform itself. And they gave them a few days to respond to that and turned off the app in the meantime. Of course, Doordash ghosted them and went right back online as normal. And this continued for a while until Doordash changed the system for how they send orders to us, and almost putting up digital wall for order receiving. And Doordash went straight back to the way it was. They continued to grow and change how they build out their systems, and wouldn't you know it, Para started to expand outward. They created Paraworks, Parapulse, Parapass. They have a mileage tracker. They have an auto decline system, one of drivers' favorite aspects of Para. But then an issue came up with Paraworks, which began yet another downturn for the app itself. The downfall of Paraworks. Now, Paraworks was two things based on the perspective of which you saw the company from. First and foremost, Paraworks to us drivers was a way for other companies that are a little bit more localized to send orders through a queue system and pay their drivers using gig wage to accelerate the payment process of next day pay. Sounds good at first, right? But that didn't work out so well. We'll go over that in a second. Orders overall were solid. They paid more than most because at their core, they were mainly catering deliveries, right? And most of that was easy cater, which makes sense. But either way, from the company's perspective, meaning the companies that are sending these orders through Para, now when an order was supposed to pay out, they were going to send the money to Para and they would pay us through gig wage using that money. Para would make like $1.50, $2 per order. We would make about, depending on the gig, anywhere between like $15, $20, $25. It can go higher from there. And sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, etc. However, they would front the money to us, then they would expect the companies to actually pay them. And yet they were continuously getting stiffed with the bill. Imagine losing $50K per crappy company that sends their orders through them. That $1.50, $2 an order doesn't look so hot when you're down $50K per company that continues to stiff you. Sure, there were some that were good to you, but there was a fair amount of times where it wasn't the case. If you're not sure what I'm talking about on the inner details of this, I made a video about that as well, going exactly what Dave and Steve were saying about it. I will leave that video in the description. Feel free to check that out. The end. Now, at first, this was only Paraworks that shut down, and they had other features like like we said, Para Pass, auto decline, mileage tracking, and they claim to keep the other aspects of the application active until one day they would relaunch it into something more valuable to drivers and less scammy for themselves. Either way, this was the email that Josh sent to me. Hello, thank you for reaching out. After careful consideration, the Para app will be shutting down on May 1st, 2024. This was not a decision we came to lightly. We evaluated our market value and realized you access many of our tools through various other companies, like Mistro and Driver Utility Helper. We felt we were no longer offering a unique experience to our users. We have decided to take Para in a new direction and into a space where we feel we could truly make an impact. We can't promise that this will be the last you see of Para, but we can tell you it will be a while before you see Para again. Thank you for your support over the years. Jessica from Para Incorporated. I don't know how accurate that is because I'm looking at the app right now and yes, it's still here. It's still active overall. I don't know what they mean by they're shutting down the app itself, but either way, for now, that is the end of Para. All because a few companies kept stiffing them on the bill. And now, I know that you could say that, oh, they had tip transparency and it didn't work out and stuff like that, but Paraworks was working just fine with other companies, especially with Paraworks, except there were a handful of companies that were stiffing them on serious amounts of money. Like, imagine the amount of debt that guy must be in. You think you have it bad with your student loan debt, try living through that. Now, whether or not this is actually the end or if they need to regroup, who knows what this will look like in the foreseeable future. However, they do have a live coming up tomorrow at 7 p.m., which may go into it further. Either way, based on the events in which I have witnessed, here are some takeaways I saw from the outside in. First and foremost, you can't try to get the wrong people to do the right thing. Doordash was never an app that people can work with and trust 100%. And what they tried to do is scrape data so that way they could see the full tip before accepting the order. This is what we as gig workers wanted, but it's not what DD wanted, and for obvious reasons. If they're gonna be scummy, you shouldn't try to work with them or to try to make them more transparent that way. I understand they attacked the problem in a way that made sense for us. DoorDash wasn't looking out for us. DoorDash is looking out for themselves. So they were gonna do anything and everything in their power to try to stop us from seeing the full view ahead of time. It's like expecting a significant other that has been cheating on you and just waving all his red flags to change simply because you're with them.
Joe, red is my favorite color.
Red is not your favorite color when you're in business. You do not want to be in the red if you're in business. And they've just been operating there for too damn long, in my opinion. And it only got worse when Paraworks ended up working with companies that weren't paying them. Which brings me to the second point. You need to develop a system that holds the other party accountable. Keep in mind, they weren't just paying $50K in bills to people who were using the platform, which I don't know how they're not in a courtroom right now suing each one of those companies, to be honest. But either way, the cash flow wasn't compensating for the debt that was accruing. Also, I would love to know if there's insurance for this kind of stuff, like getting stiffed on a bill for business, because talk about significant risk here. All in all, it sucks that this is what happened to Para, but I hope they bounce back and become more successful in whatever they decide to accomplish next. Also, don't forget the live is tomorrow at 7 p.m. if you can make it, or just watch it on the replay and see what they say about it. Also, if you want to email me about something that is happening in the gig economy that you would like me to go over, my email is drivenwyld@gmail.com. Feel free to email me there, and who knows, you can get a shout out in a video as well. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.